Me and my friend had a project deadline coming up on the weekend, and we had to hand it to our professor by Monday morning. It was a massive amount of work we had to get through. We had a bunch of unfinished tasks, so we needed to wrap up things as fast as possible. Finding a quiet place to work was a challenge, because both of us had younger siblings at home, so we reached out to a local library where the manager happened to be a friend of my mother's. We asked if he could stay a night or two to finish our work, and luckily she agreed. We moved our stuff in and found a cozy corner and started working. The library wasn't very big, but it had two small study areas on either side of the bookshelf in the middle. It stayed open until 7, and once the manager left, we had the place all to ourselves. We brought some coffee to keep us awake and fueled, but when you keep focusing for a long time, you realize that there's a limit to how much stress a person can handle. Sometimes you hit a breaking point, and it becomes tough to deal with all the pressure. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. Sheer silence. Nothing could be heard except for my friend's snores every now and then, and the keyboard clicking under my fingers. It felt like I was drifting through an empty void where nothing made sense anymore. I was too exhausted. Suddenly, a figure all dressed in black appeared across the table from me. I was trembling with fear and couldn't quite make out who or what it was. It was unbelievable. So I shook my head a little bit, trying to wake myself up. But it wasn't the case, unfortunately. The lighting on his side of the table was dim. Don't let me seeing his eyes. I couldn't believe this. I'm sure he was looking at me right in the eyes. I panicked, and speechless, I was hearing his rusty old voice telling me one thing in a weird way. You're not going to finish this. A feeling of suffocation washed over me, and it was as if I were trapped in a cell with no way out. Desperate, I reached out and shook my friend vigorously, trying to wake him up. He finally stirred, groggy and confused, asking what was happening. I mumbled, "Look over there," pointing to the other side of the desk. He turned his head, but nothing was over there. Damn it, what was going on? My friend, annoyed at being woken up, cursed at me a few times before rolling his head to the other side and promptly returning to his nap. Am I hallucinating? The fear had shaken me to my core, so I was wide awake now. I tried to turn back to my work and keep focusing, though it seemed impossible. Eerie sounds were coming from the other side of the room, where it was completely dark, along with footsteps and time to time disgusting sneers. Unsure of what to do, I felt utterly paralyzed by fear. In a last-ditch effort, I attempted once more to rouse my friend, but he remained unfazed. It seemed I had no choice but to bear up with the situation I was in, all by myself. I kept my gaze to the other side of the room with sheer panic. The only choice I had. I couldn't do anything, and it was the only option. I could even hear my own heartbeats, which now seemed to be jumping out of my chest. He left the place. At least it seems. It didn't change anything though. I was devastated. Unable to think. I was totally confused and devastated. I was shaking, envy of my friend sleeping comfortably right next to me. I couldn't finish what I was doing that night. I couldn't do anything after that. For a long time, I was afraid of darkness. Afterwards, I talked to anybody I could about the event, but there were no answers for that. Until this day, it is a mystery.